All right, welcome to the all right, welcome to the okay. It's Alex and somebody they listen to the program at the same time. Welcome to the program. My name is Dr. Mankota. You are watching the TPN TV and Radio Network coming to you live from the United States of America. We got today Mr. Williams from Stay Red Movement. We now a frequent guest. Most time we can call them, they can tell you about things where they go on that country. Mr. Williams, you know, need the introduction again because you don't come now multiple times. The reason what make they bring this young man most of the time when it comes to reporting things then way they go in that country there, irrespective of in political affiliation, but in reporting most time can look accurate. Now reporting way they try to explain things in a better way than other people the way they report now from Sierra Leone. Mr. Williams, thank you very much for coming on the program.
And thank you very much for having me, comrade and brothers of because we're not Sierra Leoneans, we're not brothers then, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
So let's start with the issue where we know say na something where most of the time they come na social media with a vengeance or some kind of a desperation. Would they start with the parliament then issue when the president or the speaker of parliament called an emergency session for going to introduce these censors and probably the cyber bill. In your own understanding, what actually go wrong? What happened?
Well, I just believe say now because certain people they demonstrate serious and blatant disrespect for the constitution, rule of law, and order. Now, they make certain skirmish they happen in a certain department or certain units in this country. Because I believe say if we all respect rules and regulations, I'm not sure say it is a problem. The president, knowing as a custodian of the constitution of this country, know the pros and cons of the constitution, and he get advisors them from all aspects in this country. This is also the legal advice as to waiting for happen and waiting procedures to follow. The censorship for the president call and right as a president for call censorship when he fails to say that for call censors. He get right for do that. But there are laws, principles, and guidance them where if you follow, where if you refuse to follow. What happen at parliament? I will not have been to money happen, but we call a parliament because a parliament session really happened there.
Yep.
What happened at parliament? Now because of the fact that the president don't decide for call censors, not I will say no, but he blatantly ignore the fact that it's supposed to pass through parliament before ever it come to play. But then people don't give 2 dates without consulting parliament. And according to the constitution, that's not treason. In fact, also the president no more commits treason. Statistics, censorship commits treason by going into the president's office, now then pronounce date instead of the president's pronounced date. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
And then take the authority of the president in the place of the president when an act of treason already. You get me? Then we come out there again, the president by himself decide for unordained 2 dates there because you never the objection. Then now they want to go push parliament on that very day. For the parliament go endorse, some parliament don't even know about. An emergency meeting is called. Okay, no problem. But when we go there, maybe we get a proper hearing, wherein everybody go get submission for the positive nature of this country. But in a situation wherein the opposition parties them, refuse to acknowledge the thing, they say, okay, you know what? You can read them, but we need to deliberate this thing. Then you get the ruling government of the day, where then one refuse for do that, but for impose them. And you know they work that way. And once something like that happened at Parliament, it was upon the Speaker of the House of Parliament for call a recess or ask the heads then of the different sectors then, call them a private meeting, talk to them, they can get 1 hour, 2 hour recess, then go talk to them, then they get one common understanding and come back and can continue the session. But no, it was impose a power, and when it refused to happen, they involve police inside for capital spray the opposition members then, not the SLPP members of Parliament. In fact, they reach a point that the SLPP members of Parliament and then vex now begin to push the police and come out of the place. Because they're not against with the whole thing. So that's not the only thing we cause and we happen inside Parliament, basically.
So there are people where they blame also the opposition, say them instead of if you say somebody has violated the rule, the best way is not you to violate the rules again for fix what in them violate. You get for go through, instead of violence, you get for go through the normal way where you believe say these people have violated the rules. So there are people also where blame the opposition. What's now you take on that?
We're not in about Babu Jungle or we're not in a animal kingdom. We are in Babu jump, Babu back jump. No. Here, like how you rightly say, if SRPP do wrong, it is upon APC for do the right thing, not for do wrong back because SRPP do wrong. Me, I don't support that.
Yeah.
But what I want to know, what in APC do wrong that they now understand.
They say the facts. Then go. Chariko go at the face of the speaker. Go one for good jog the mic. And, take the document. The
okay. In a situation where the opposition leader, the leader of the opposition at Parliament, want to make a statement, then blatantly again I use the word. The Speaker of the House refused for get the talk. He refused, and he got a statement for make in a right for me and get a platform for talk. He refused, so he said, "Okay, you know what? Make I face the speaker now. May see me 1-to-1 now. Let me say get access to this thing." But I refused, and in fact, for me, as far as I'm concerned, it was very, very, very inappropriate on the side of the ruling government for make the action they be taken. You get me? Eh? And Jericho could not go there for go fetch. But Parliament got this tradition. When I refuse, when I go for, you go for ears to the opposition, any kind of way. So what can happen? Some place and can bang the table and all that kind of thing. But everybody gets where they express in grievance in dissatisfaction to certain things. So Jericho go decide to take this Bible. They don't use for happen at Parliament. When you say quiet, then just pass the bill just like that. They don't do a plenty time. So in one talk, because they were the fourth estate we are present, when are the media, the electronic and print media were there. But because in the talk, nobody they area, they need the mic for make it be audible, so people don't understand what's in a stand and they don't stand. So on that note, now make it try forget the mic. And you not go there forcefully. Now when they begin repel now, the skirmish begin now, where everybody begin they jump all over the place. And you get situation. But Parliament for going to this disarray, this is not the first time. Sierra Leone is not exception to this. It only happen at different courts. But it not ever happen at different Parliament, sorry. But it never happen in a way where you see them go bring police for can attack one face of the parliamentarians. That never happen in no country. But Sierra Leone, it happen twice. There are people like Mohamed Bangura of the APC, you for admit, and then beat some people in pass and faint. And it happened again na Parliament for the second time, where police can't involve against the opposition. That never ever happened. That they knew. And I follow nobody implement that.
Yeah. So now let me talk about other issues them where they go now the country. You remember the presidents be make waiting. I mean they call some kind of a media offensive, but some people then say now media engagement. Okay, let's take that into consideration too. Do you think it was a desperation for the president for kind of the media can be a media at all for making able to explain what he don't do? Is it because he find out saying in the things the way they do enough prevalent to the people, so he get for come and explain. Just like within Professor Lumumba talk, he say if you do something great for your nation, you don't need for talk about that. Let the things the way you do, he talk. So do you think this was a desperation because he find out saying maybe the people are not getting the actual fact way the efforts we don't do?
Okay, I want to make you analyze this. What I mean analyze, I don't want to me share I'm out really, but I may look into everything the president said. It was only one thing when the president did for all the meetings there, all the radio stations, television stations, there we go. Una give me time more, una give me more time. Una not judge me yet. That was his message. He's saying this because he has nothing to show to the people. Nothing, not for sure. If you don't get enough, like you don't do like how you rightly say, you don't do things the way visible or some things the way it affects the pockets of the that man where they send a dove court and it affects the status of that young man where he just don't college, or that young man will be the truth yesterday and all that. Enough for girls if we're gonna radio station, television station, and begin going on a different platform and for go talk to people then. Or we begin explaining self. The only terrible person they get time for don't they explain that because you don't feel. Now only when you fail, your results you fail, I will begin to like this the teacher not they teach fine, this other teacher not they can't quick, this other teacher that because you don't fail. But when the result is good, you just put the result on the table and then go to sleep. There's nothing to explain about. Look at the results. You can judge for yourself. You get me, eh? Yeah. But there is nothing to judge. There's nothing to write home about. And because of that, he has to go out and explain. Guess what? And when the president decided to take this move, disrespecting the Ministry of Communication, his spokesman, people are already talking for him. If he's to take the move for himself, and make the situation worse. It make the situation outrightly worse. When I talk about women, then they say, "What about the West?" If we know what's in the happen to the West is not the cry. When I ask and say, "What about you and the relationship between you and the predecessor?" It say, "If you and your ex na party, then the predecessor not to party." You know, things like that. Those language, you for be very diplomatic with your words, even if you and the former president are not in good terms. But when you come na open platform like that, addressing national issues, you for make sure say you know your words and the choice of words. Then at the end of the day, when you don't mess up, when the president don't mess up done, but that guy never the interview for BBC says, Umar Fofana ain't gonna make a special program now begin interview the president because the one try for do it thing called damage control. So I made them go do a session where they get, I don't forget to start and get a gift or whatever.
Town hall.
Yes, at least for me to curtail the damage with the president do, for curtail them, for make things look fine now, you know, for make things look nice, because I know the government, because Umar Fofana is an instrument used by the power party. We know that. All of the positive things then, where SRPP they do in this country, well, they hear things they see them all over the place in Vuzela. When bad things they happen, you don't see him talk. You don't see him talk. You know to talk about them because for them, you know important. Or even if they attack the issues today, they grab a fine-tune thing for make it look that kind of nice. But I don't blame them. If you work for the government, you know, in Sakam, you got to do things for make you know things come out fine because you said you don't deliberate, depend on that. So I don't blame them on that part. But anyways, with this situation, the president, for me, what if I don't do that moment, they are not there against the fact that they come out for can talk. It should have been nice that the president they talk directly to the people. But the words of the president and the fact that the president has nothing to say, it is very, 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 I'm not going to say ironical. It is shameful for me. It is shameful. Then the way the president answers certain questions, in fact, the president give back talk to people and for questions where they ask a back talk in the back. You know, it's very, very, very shameful for me and as a president, as my own president, because any kind I'm a president. But see, and they perform so much now television station and radio station. It was pathetic anyway.
So with all this blunder way the presidents don't make, do you think the APC yet still stands a chance for if they're able to do the 2023? Because we also get our own problem as a party.
The APC as a political party always stand a chance. They always stand a chance. But I give you a vivid reason for belief the APC beats SLDP 2023. And now I give you all everything that happened. I'm going to go back to 2018, more reason for George. Yeah? 2018, SLDP produced the most popular candidate in SLDP. Madabu. They produced somebody where they don't stand with a very good legendary experience for stand election. When I'm Madabu. And APC produced somebody where nobody knows him. I made them they ask say Sabia winner Dr. Samuel Kamara at that time. Nobody knows him at that time. Everybody was like, Sabia, even the people who work for the government they ask questions. You get me? It was very unpopular. Nobody knows Sabia. But guess what? What was the result? The Maradona beat Samuel Kamara reached 2%. The national vote, I talk about the votes who Ufa Ali produced, and they talk say Ufa Ali go. More accepted Ufa Ali produced was right. You know, for beat I reached 2%. Just imagine. So now Samuel Kamara and other contestants them under the APC don't become very popular because not only him, it might be another person inside the APC. They're all very, very, very popular. I talk about people like Kelfala Mara. Kelfala Mara was one of the most popular during 2018 by virtue of the people that come out to support him during a rally. And we get other people who were very popular then, and now they don't become more. You get me? Mm-hmm. And That fact that Samora to contest Madabio and almost beat him, say they go soccer rounds with a very unpopular candidate. That shows that Madabio is not strong. And now Madabio don't can share himself to the people. Look at the hunger where they go on at the country. Look at the starvation where they go on at the country. Look at the so-called free education. Where people want go, you want go na new school, for example, doing for enter after I don't sit Becker for GSS or after I don't sit WAS MPSC for GSS. It costs the parents millions. And it costs them millions, and they go get 2 exercise books for the whole term, for the whole year. So picking 2 exercise books, just imagine. So it just don't disgrace itself. It just don't show the people and say the fact that the type of free education which was deployed for distract people and for vote rights, they vote for them, and also the fact that they pull the for when one they pull it, and the fact that they pull the 2 term when I'm morning shift and afternoon shift when one they pull it, and all of these things. They use them employed for fully people, but people don't see all this fact. Forget about that. The fact that this government blatantly they abuse the constitution repeatedly and constantly is another factor wasting their own gains. They want to be vote for them by virtue of, you know what, I don't gain with APC. Make I get a new face now, make I see it happen. They don't gain. Most people regret, most people are ashamed right now. You get me? For that fact really happen. And the continuous killing when it takes place at this country, the fact that the police don't they show so much disrespect for the uniform and the office at this country. They go up for the kill and no investigation happens. Nothing, all killing above case. All of these things when people don't gain with what they happen. All of these things, the people don't get to what happen. John O'Brien don't make the situation worse because all the reports and findings the way the green can come out, it don't make people look and say, you know what? It's better when we are there in the APC. At least instead of the thief, they see roads. Then they get constant light. Then the thief, they get free health care for people and when they come with way be very, very active. Then the thief, but we begin the education, when more especially when you go to secondary school and tertiary level, we they see progress. Government they pay subsidies for the thief, then they pay subsidies for fuel, pay subsidies for other things. Then they for all the thief, they get me, then the thief, they see development, they see jobs, they be created. So then they grow to the economy they grow every day, except when we get the Ebola will become a stab to single. But at least we'll be the type of fight and back again. But all the thief, you get me? And so the government will not the thief at all. So let's go thief at all, but nothing is happening.
So let's go back to the point. You make a very interesting point. Say in 2018, which is the one you want for make we go back. The SLPP produced the the best. The most popular candidate, Queen Amada Bio. The SLPP then will come back and counter that and say, at that time, Anes Krumah was the most popular president of the country. Then secondly, Anes Krumah was the president. APC was in power. It gets more advantage. Now that APC is out of power and the SLPP now in power, Madabio gets so many resources right now. Does that negates some of the argument we try for put say because now Madabio they control the Electoral Commission, and I understand say that they can change most of the commissioners they're waiting at the north and try for put people their way sympathetic to them. Don't you think it becomes more problematic for the APC in 2023?
Well, in reality, they can like tell you, if Madabio has everything like I will see and get this, that, to get all the resources and right now, it's problematic. I should have said, no, it's not problematic at all. APC is bit and clean. Even if Madabio become neck officer, APC is bit. Because I want to beat you small, like the work. But I beat you, so can't beat. When I see almost million or almost 1,000 difference between APC vote and SLPP vote, go on the day. Now, when me and you the one, my brother, when me and you the one, so tell we don't reach at the line. Then I put my chest before I beat you by chest, or I beat you by foot, or whatsoever it is. Now then your finger for council, they begin to think of how to make this decision. Would I really win? You get me? But in a case, when me and you the one, I don't beat you, I don't come forth, I don't pass the church line. After 30 minutes, you can struggle there. Would I go say, okay, and the one man is here, clear one. So that is what's going to happen in 2018. And Madabio don't foresee this. So what Madabio do now? Now we want to undermine the whole process. This cyber where they come with this new census where they come with and the new decentralization policy we want to come with where they talk about for make sure say political parties they're not involved in councillorship elections and mayoral elections in this country. Now in technique landing why use now infiltrate into the system and rogue the system. Me not care if matter be one statistics, it change all man neck. Everybody in one family puts them, including Censorship become neck commissioner. APC they win 2018. All joke aside, APC they win 2018. The thing is, you see, me the census also the problem for me. For me, census matter be one make it erase the voters way name for anything. For me, it's a problem. It's a problem there. Now the new decentralization policy we want to come with. The fact that they say political parties are not for involved in local council and mayoral elections. What's the matter about the try for doing this way? One, if you remove all the councillors there and put new people inside it, it creates an army of campaign team. People who campaign for anyone. Because now the Ministry of Local Government, then they in charge for the accreditation to people who contest council elections. Because they're not going to be political party again. Now they go choose who go contest. Who the person go choose? Now then people they go put them people all over the country. Then people get instructions. Now we're not going to make matter be popular now on ward state from ward level. They want to take to the root of politics. You get me?
Yeah.
To the ward level. We not go campaign and we not campaign for propagate SLPP and Madabio. And imagine if them people are able to affect or effect this kind of policy, most of the people are not get choice again. Because you know why? This guy is going to be the councillor. If I don't work with him now, tomorrow it will affect me. You get me? And because of that, most people are buying into their ideas. That's not employ. Now, what they think, now they tell you so. What do they think will happen? Now, what they think, now they tell you so. So because of that now, they want to make this. Because if Madabio says, I'm doing this for make the Sierra Leoneans and get rights for make for make them participate and only for going to political party. There's going to be a law where talk say you can go independent. So why now? You not go let the political party for continue. People can go independent and contest. But because you want to deprive the local man, the common man out there, not for take part. Because for contest an election as an independent candidate, you can forget resources, you can forget money that you earn. Now the political party that they pay them people at the registration, and they fund them people at the campaign processes and everything. So if you pull the political party, that means only the man who is strong, man go get chance. Only the man who is strong, man go get chance. Then you talk say. So you talk say, it's possible for stand at the camp. Make I just land this way, please.
Yeah.
You talk say it's possible for stand to councillorship. You forget WAS. You forget WAS, which is good for me. Good because we need educated people everywhere. If that's you say, then you want to start for mayor, forget a degree. Okay, good. But the one where they go for member of parliament where you not touch, you say we just start to speak and write English. Hey, no, what do you mean? The one where you go parliament, even if you don't get WAS, it's not important. But the one they become councillor, now forget WAS. Meaning they try for siphon, they try for create a barrier, for me the common man not get access to politics. Maybe you shut light off para. You get me? Yeah. Because parliament, you know, say parliament obviously, you know the kind of caliber of people who come up for parliament. So they don't care. They don't need to get no requirements. But they won't put requirements for the lower positions. We're not looking for these things. There's so many things that we're inappropriate for which people are doing it.
I understand. So now let me go to this cybercrime bill. When this cybercrime bill was introduced in Parliament, one of the people that will start for raise alarm say this is going to be a big problem because the snippets then way I don't read from the bill, I realize it is not much about fighting the actual crime, the cyber crimes, the way we all supposed to focus on. This is a way for making able to stifle people their freedom of speech because the SLPP realizing one of the biggest problems is social media. And social media is uncontrollable, so they want to make sure they're able to control that. They're not able, definitely, because the nature of social media is it's a universal stuff, not to kind of national stuff. So, but for who now waiting at the country, waiting now na implication if this cybercrime bill pass.
First, for me to make it clear, we as APC, because that's how they talk from, we as APC not get problem with cybercrime law. We not get problem with them at all. Make nobody know which is that. What do we get problem with? Now the instruments, the regulations of this cybercrime law, because I will come with a new law, a new cybercrime law, without giving the characteristics of it, all the way to say. Now, so they ask for the same thing for the let me make a column. This is the state of emergency. The rules It was not produced. Now they go to parliament again. They come with cybercrime law. They actually endorse and don't. Imagine this country. The opposition they talk. The SRPP people they talk. Say, may they just endorse no more. They will come with the rules later. How you can endorse something in a parliament? Then we don't know the rules. That's what happened in the last parliament sitting with regard to the cybercrime law. Now I'm going to the thing deeper and proper. When Madabio was at I think 98.1, it was 98.1 in the interview. They asked about the cybercrime law. Whose example he gave? He said about the media, because look, for example, that man who sit on social media, they talk all kind of nonsense because all kind of calamity in the country. He was referring to one person who was a good refer to. You get me? I'm not in favor of anybody cause calamity. But what did they try to tell you? They want for regulate people and for tell them freedom of speech. People are able to talk. And that's exactly what they have to tell you. We want for block that kind of person, not for able to talk. People are able to share audios. People are able to listen to them. That's what he's telling me. And that is against the human rights values of this country. You get me? It is against the human rights values of this country. Now make I give you a history of this whole cybercrime law because it's not new. We got cybercrime units at every police station at this country, brother. The CID gets cybercrime units. So it was already here. So if they encounter new regulations are because they get new things they want to implement. Now make I give you a history of from the APC perspective. Now when APC lost power, as everybody knows, the electronic and print media are the they're able to curtail them, they're able to regulate them, finance them through brown envelope for me to silence them. The civil society back at the they're able to silence them through the same process of brown envelope. And they succeed. You get me? After that, what do they for do? Therefore, blackmail the APC as a very corrupt political party. Blackmail them for make it become very inactive, or maybe them just change with the APC and look APC as a bad place for go. Then number three again, after that, they attack the APC stakeholders, them brand them all as criminals. And because the name for use no platform for talk for themselves, the the electronic and print media never get access to them. Nobody not gonna know the facts. Nobody not gonna know the truth. Now, in the account commission of inquiry, the talk in account that you don't work out rules of no evidence. You don't work out evidence for proof safe. Because they don't want people to get the platform for me to talk for themselves. They just want brand you. How they brand you, they condemn you, say for this. Now if I agree to it. What can happen? After they don't do all this, they forget one sector when on the social media. They forget say there is a sector called social media. So what APC do? APC use the social media for bring out facts, for bring out reality, for bring out documents, for expose the government. So they look and say, you know what, we don't succeed. And this social media don't become a thorn at their own flesh. So they say, okay, you know what, when we come to regulation, we silence social media. So 2023 will be easy for me. And that's exactly the work to also. But they are not going to succeed. Maybe I just tell me that.
Let me bring in Mr. Kabu, one of the commentators. Then, Mr. Kabu, I don't know. Hold on. Let me make sure when you talk, Williams Dairy. Let me make sure. Okay, Mr. Kabu, talk about let's see if Williams Dairy.
Hi, this is Kabu from New York. Good afternoon.
From Mr. Dairy, Williams.
They come in broken. They come in broken.
He said they come in broken. But at least he heard the voice, right? Let me see.
Well, let's have a talk about it. I will pick up something.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Kabu.
Yes, once more, this is Kabu from New York. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, anywhere you find yourself.
You get like something. I know you get nothing. I know you get a voice.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can. Let me see. All right, talk again back, Mr. Kabu.
Good afternoon from Kabu.
You hear it? No, you're not the area. You know the area, right?
I get just now.
Huh?
I get just now. Wait, talk. I get just now.
Okay. Let me switch back to that. Okay, Mr. Kabu, you just talk now. Where you don't talk, where you want for talk, I will switch the
yes, I say for do.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Gabo.
What do you want me to talk about? You want to ask me a question, or what? You don't ask me anything?
Do you have a question for Williams?
I don't have a question for Williams, but I have a bones of contention on what he said to this broadcast.
All right, go ahead. Make your contention. Way done. And I will try for switch, let NSSF talk. So
First, I want to know. I'm not too sure because his explanation with regards to the first issue which you brought in front of him regarding the parliament and the census issue, it appears to me that he was not present because he did ask you what did APC do wrong. He didn't see anything wrong. And you have to remind him that, but there was some skirmishing, there was some pushing and pulling and dropping on desks and tearing of the proclamation of the president before he picks up. So I don't know whether he had it or he was there as a media man or he was not there. And he bluntly made it clear that the ministry in charge of the census and Madabio committed treason. And those statements are unfortunate statements, and I wish he knew or he understand what it means by committing treason. The fact remains that APC don't want the census for one reason, and for the reason best known to them. Even myself, I've been pondering. Even top APC officials like Sylvia Blanding couldn't find out the reason why APC don't want the census, because what they might have purported as a reason is not even a reason to work with. But what I know is they don't want it simply because it is Marabio as a president and SLPP is the governing body. So as such, anything that comes, whether it is good for the nation, they don't want it. And there has never been anything that is supported. We have three issues right now on the pipeline. The census, we have the cybercrime, and we have the councillors issue, wherein they would be party free. And none of those they supported, even if when it is for the benefit of the country. The census is going to take place. I will have to let him know that, understand that. Today, 12 days when the proclamation was made, and it's going to go for 21 days. So apparently we have 9 more days. And after that, if we don't hear from them or any parliamentarian and seconded by anybody for any deliberation, then the census is declared authentic and it's going to take place. And when they fail to do that, or even if where there is a bone of contention from any parliamentarian, they have to come up with 98 probably members of parliament to vote against that. So they knew already, in lieu of time, well over the time it was pronounced, that, before the pronunciation, that they don't want the census, and even if they go to parliament, they will not win it. And the idea is that they have to go violence, and that's why they went violent, because they know they're going to lose it. Because the president.
Yeah, let me bring because I want for when I get interaction. Let me bring in Williams. Williams, go ahead again.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, go ahead. You want for comments? What Mr. Kabo did say?
Yes, Mr. Kabo say they chair the president's declaration, which is a very unfortunate statement, because nobody not check nothing, and it be fully throughout the time till the last minute. It was under the custody of the Speaker of the House of Parliament, so nobody not check them. So if you get the information, they make you understand, say that is so wrong, it not ever happen. And it talk about the fact, the statement we are make when I talk about the treason mark. You know, when you talk about the census, I'm trying, because nothing happens now. I try for looking at my bag for see something for the Sierra Leone Constitution right now, so I will read them out to them. But what are the try for saying here? When somebody takes the role of a president, when you are not the president, like what statistics do, forgive a date where something where the president not pronounce it, and something will not go through parliament yet, then grab and pronounce them on behalf of the president. Now it's reasonable. Wrong according to the constitution. Then the fact that the president, where the constitution tells you say any like when the president pronounced for census, so it's supposed to go through parliament. And if you not go through parliament, then enforce them or go about them, it amounts to treason. And the president was just about to commit that. You get me? And for me, one thing they classify them as treason already, because they don't give dates. They give dates, parliament not approve. And you can't do that according to the constitution. So now that's not the thing where it's they talk about the census, say APC no that APC they against the census. No, APC no get against census. APC act say why we for do another census? Because according to the constitution, every 10 years, despite the fact that we know say the president get the right to pronounce census when it's still fit. But from all the action people there, what's wrong with the last census? They say things and they will not connect. There are some problems. What are the problems? They never tell me. How am I going to know the problems? But all the people of the work at statistics, they don't sack them all and go bring strangers and decide. And today, the president will tell you exactly this. And now we look at the economic situation of this country. Now we presently get barely until like 8 months from we get local council elections. Very barely 8 months. Now you can do statistics say to that 10 days. It makes sense at all. When we look at the economical status of the country, we get several things that we can put our resources into. We can put our census business. We don't make no sense. We are just kind of about 3 years when I say for change one census. It don't make no sense. We have so many things for do. Right. That's me. And that's not the cause. That's not the cry of the APC. That's not the census itself. Despite the fact that we know say we get rumors say the one asked by the constituents they wouldn't get, the constituents they wouldn't get, and all of those things. But that's just rumors. So I'm not based on that. But we'll go to the facts and the reality.
All right. Let me bring in Mr. Gabo. You get something, then I will bring Izagi. Go ahead, Mr. Gabo.
I go back to the Treason Act, as you mentioned, with the ministry itself. I think that could be probably a High Court, a Supreme Court decision if they commit treason. And as he alluded, if they do, what has the APC done about that? If this government has committed treason, don't they have steps to take or a sequence which they have to follow to make sure that the president is punished or the ministry is punished for the treason they committed, as he's saying? I think it is up to them now to take up the responsibility to make sure that it doesn't happen again if it is a treason he committed, as they said. The problem with here with the census is that they are saying the president is rushing papers, he rush on this proclamation. He's not rushing the proclamation. The president has an agenda. And as I said, APC just feel that they are the only people should do census, should conduct census. What is wrong if the census was conducted last year and the sitting president, the new president comes in and say, I'm going to conduct the census? The constitution gives him the mandate. What is the problem with that? You just sit down and look at what is done and you comment on where you have to comment, but you don't stand against it to say it should not happen. And when you know the president has the right and it's going to happen, you waste your time. You waste the resources of the government, and because you're causing a lot of problems on that. Now, they put the agenda ahead. Any agenda or any project the president is about to undertake, there are steps to follow. And APC knows that very well as SLPP. Now, whilst the president is taking the steps, they are ahead of the steps, which according to the president's steps, they are going ahead. Oh, he didn't do this. We're not going to allow him. And when the president comes to do it now, they said he rushed. Like, the president don't pay attention on you guys, thinking that he's working on your own agenda. He works on his own pace. And this is the right time he felt. This is the time he is going to make the proclamation. Whether it is supposed to have been the first or the last, which is what he chose to do. And because of that, you guys don't want that. And the only thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you allow Madabiu preside as a president, and as the constitution gives him the mandate, just like an Escohoma. And that's all about it. You are just an opposition, and you will oppose anything that comes from Madabiu. That's I assure you.
Mr. Gabu.
Yes.
I understand the passion, but here is the thing. Madabiu is a president of the country, but he also gets to adhere to the rules of the country too. You know, you cannot do what Madabiu do. Then if now we do the SLPP, one man look at Sidona, waste no more.
What did he do? What did he do? What did he do that is wrong?
The mistake where Madabiu do.
No, you call it a mistake, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, the mistake.
What did he do?
That's what me call up. The mistake where Madabiu do. You know, say Madabiu don't put a date for the census twice, while he not even going to parliament. That's not a violation of the constitution. Now, Williams, they try to talk to you about it. It's not much more about the constitution. Some of we don't talk on social media saying the president get the right for call a constitution, a census, a midterm census, as you call them, but he get to follow the rules them. So let me bring in Izagi.
My question to that, Mr. Mankota, my question to that is, if you are sure enough that you're going to win the case, that Madabio commits treason for assigning the date, then go to court.
Mr. Gabo, I'm not talking about treason. I'm talking about a violation of the constitution.
Well, according to your spokesman, he said treason.
Okay, let's bring in, at the time to William, let's bring in Izagi. Izagi, go ahead. Izagi, it's all you. You mute.
Yeah, I don't mute. I listen quietly. Thank you so much, anyways. I'm with all the commentators. Thanks also to Williams for coming on the air, you know, and basically for pretty much enlightening about what they think, you know, about this current how to But now we start everything with us. Right? I hear about treason and I just laugh, you know. But I would not even talk. I'm not going to even go down it because I'm not saying no, you know, APC talk as usual. But the fact of the matter is, you know, this censor with the president call for, right? And I think for say we all are happy for that because if you know during EPK time, you know, I think the whole of the there was another district added, right? With what's our district?
Carolina.
Exactly. So I think for say that's necessary because not much ruling that everybody forgets your own sheer fear, you know, of the resource of them.
Okay. Hold on. What did it talk about? We not really they make this census for add another district not the country.
We know what. We just want to
oh boy.
You understand? It's not the ad, you know, because I mean,
that was for no how much people than they.
Exactly. It's like we say, una no good number.
Whatever follows, but the census is going to take it.
Let me bring in this one before I go. Hold on,
William.
Williams, before you go,
but he had a lot of he has a lot of accusations he made here. We've not gone to half of them yet. I have been taking notes, and you just allow him to talk for over 30 minutes. I have my notes here. I have questions that I have to ask him, and I have things that I have to crack it. Notes.
You don't tell me say you don't get question, so let me allow the.
No, I have not to.
Williams, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Kabo talked something just now. He said if APC no say they're strong or they get reasons or then believe say matter they don't commit any crime, why we not go court? I want ask Mr. Kabo who say seek a coach win case na for kingdom. Not possible. Not possible. Someone always to resources again. That's no money. They will keep up for election. Oh, win. No,
he up to you. Well, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it if you're not going to do it.
For now,
yeah, well, you come here, you waste all our time listening to you, and when we rebut to what you said you're not going to do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you stop?
It amounts to treason.
Hello? Yeah, with the Williams.
Okay. Then I see with brother Izagi, they talk about the census again. Say one know how much people in this country. We already know how much people in this country. Because less than how much years ago, we get census, we give it accurate way, even the Western world and we participate, including the LGBT people, they all assessed, confirmed, say, it was appropriate and it be okay, it be correct. You understand? Yeah, it be correct. And less than how much years now, from 2015 to now, for wait for time for do this thing. Then people like they rush up. Imagine for all not get time, we get less than 8 months. Then they rush up. They don't even go through all the pointers they will follow, all the criteria they will follow for this census. Then people like they rush. Then they rush because they get hidden agenda. Apart of that, there is nothing else. But they can't say.
Exactly, don't tell me the agenda.
I tell you, say.
Oh, Mr. Akabo, hold on. Is that you don't confess? They get the agenda. When we do census, we add two this. Now bring in Bashiru. Bashiru, go ahead.
So the Alaki the Pasalon government, the same thing where William they complain about is this: there should never be in the constitution a provision where they allow the president for false census when he feel like it. That needs to be removed because now they the political, now they people are beginning to use that for political thing. But every time new government, every time the opposition, the things they're already against, once they come into power, the same APC come into power, they don't go take their power and they away. They go on keep them for making them a user.
Mm-hmm.
But there should not be in any stable country in the world. Census get a specific time. If not every 10 years, nobody will just come out, it has to get census because they give you the power. But in Salon, somehow because the same crooked business, in left and they say the president get power for consensus whenever he wants to, in between whatever the 10 years time. But we all know say the only reason president they do that now for Kuku Jumuku, the next election.
Yeah.
We need to change that rule. They keep the same rule. The same thing right now. APC they call foul on that. When they kind of power, they go on keep the same rule and do the same thing. And this is the craziness that happen at salon politics. It's only bad when you're not in a power. Once you're in a power, whatever abuse of power, as long as the law favor you, everybody's okay with it. And we have to stop this stuff. For make we develop, for make we go before. There has to be some sanity there. Okay, how many districts we go for do then? So if SLPP go do another 1 or 2 districts, then APC come next the same census. We go do how many freaking districts we go for end up with?
Ask them. They started it.
Again, that doesn't mean you have to go keep doing the same thing. If you thought it was wrong, why don't you put something in place right now? You have the parliament, you have the presidency. Why don't you put something in place right now to prevent any future president to do the same thing? But no, you want the way we do our politics. This is the craziness about it is that, because you be do, I be wrong. It's okay for me to do. We only compare ourselves to the previous president. We don't compare ourselves to a better thing in the future. What is better for we? I need to repeat what the next person be done do. How does that serve we? How does this serve we? At the school census.
All right, can I answer this? Can I answer this question? Can I answer?
How many registered teachers they carry? Let me finish this point though. 120 something registered teachers they carry them. Carrying them should not be any freaking district. It should not be a district by itself.
It's 7,000 people. 7,000 people in Karen district.
Again, this type of things need to change. Regardless if they've done it wrong before, find a way. If you need to reverse it, or you stop it from next somebody in the future not do one. Not to start by saying this is going to go for your new districts.
All right. Let me say something, Mr. Mankota, with regards to this. Can I say something?
No, hold on. It don't come 2 times. That will give Izagi. Will give the last word. Then Williams they do a last word. So we therefore go to the next segment. Izagi, go quick.
All right, Mr. Abu. So just like we say, it probably will be one of the reasons, right, for maybe council that carrying a district come back to the original figure, right? Because the figures then we portray here now don't match population with it in the first place. So I honestly think the census, yes, may APC accept for city they did wrong in that census to be happy, right? Because that figures are totally wrong. Totally wrong. So I'm not traveled.
Why don't the SRPP say this is what we want to do? Why don't come up with something? Again, this is why you make it political. Because if not you want to do, then challenge it in Parliament. So Parliament has the power to, the same way they reform and create the district, they have the power to reform and create a district. Why don't you do it in Parliament in front of everybody?
And that's true. Maybe one of the reasons APC don't even allow from explain to one for two, because they know exactly.
No need for explain. You don't even tell me something. Now we go to Mr. Kabo, you get 1 minute. Exactly.
Right. Unfortunately, this information we are sharing is unofficial. But because this is where APC is afraid, but the information is unofficial. It's not in the Madabio's agenda to say I'm conducting elections, census, because APC added constituencies, so I'm going to add constituencies. He never said that. I have never heard that from an official of the government. Official statement. Okay, but it's not an official statement. Will you produce that recording from the official who's talking on behalf of the government? Would you bring a document on behalf of the government?
Yes.
Can you produce a recording from EBK saying he was going to create new?
I didn't tell you when. Okay, you came late.
Saying that as if because they did not officially say it means it's not a possibility.
But Anas Koroma manifested it by creating 2 constituencies. It's been manifested already. And this man didn't tell you he's going to do it. But because you are afraid of your shadow, they came up with this idea.
Mr. Gabo, let me bring in Williams. Williams, I don't say you get things that from do. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, we hear you now. You get the last word.
Okay. I'm not into all this consistency talk way at the gate. But now one thing way I like one of we moderators say, we talk about the fact that not because APC do something wrong means it can do wrong. I never say APC do wrong. I just say that don't mean it do wrong.
Now they are pastors. They turn to reverend preaching.
Expecting change, a positive change. Now we don't get change. Instead of getting old enough, we're not changing old enough. But all that's not important now. Now I come to something about the APC and the census stuff. And say APC carrying a district. Who that don't travel in this country, we see very good reason for me carrying a stand as a district. If APC we want to go about the great districts for itself, Tonkolili should have been divided in one of the biggest places. You get me? Falaba should have been divided in one of the biggest places. But because then they take their time and more Falaba for area is very big. It's just like population. APC look at me say no, this place we get chances that them place we have. This is not about politics. This is about
they split Falaba though. Falaba was split.
No,
Falaba was not a district. Falaba is one of the new districts.
The future of the country. And like I said right now, they create position for themselves, for this strong position for themselves, for the right position for themselves, for super glue and center power. But then they forget about the implication we go get on the country, the toll we go get on this country. You get me? These are the things they're doing. Like for example, this new decentralization policy with success political parties they're not for involved in election process when it comes to council or mayoral election. These are something that will damage this country. Tomorrow, the next government can be hasty for me to change them back and correct them. But they don't wait and they do right now. They don't care about what they do tomorrow. How then they stick themselves, or how then they super glue themselves, or how then they fasten themselves to power. Now, if they focus on. But this is not good. As my last word, I'd advise the SLTT government, better late than never. We know sooner or late. No matter how I do good now, if we don't build skyscraper under water, we know sooner the common power 2023. There is no other way to say it.
In your dreams, stay red. Williams of stay red movement.
This is paying us because what's better to be all over the place. Now APC now then because APC all them APC just to oppose negatively and positively. But now you get a consortium when all the political parties, the more special opposition political parties, when they give one word, but say no, this is not right. We are not in support of this. Let us say APC again. We are learning to talk now, which I appreciate. But just say we only get one salon of this country. We only get one salon.
But stay red movement. I mean, Williams, I don't want to interrupt you, but remember those 13 consortium formed. What is that? Only 2-3 parties that have people there. Yeah.
As a premium.
Hey, Bash, you didn't come here. let me
Why?
I want to get you.
No, for you, Bash. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Take it.
So what did the for say? When we put Stallone first, all these political leaders make politics in a friendly platform wherein this government can see back in company as a friendly or what was a peaceful rival. Where to my instead do policies, then we go push this country before. And they can't build on them policies, then they continue to push this country before. What that already come no more? They look one more constructive and improvement when we can this country when the Mama airport. It can't.
I want to ask.
He's gonna go. They're not gonna allow you.
Hold on. I'm going to
put anything.
All right, Williams. Is that you want to ask you? Hold on. Is that you? Go ahead.
Keep William till the end of the program. He is the icon of the program. Keep him till the end because he made a mention of a lot of things.
Williams.
Yeah.
You know how much I spend. Go ahead. Is that you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But tell you say, you know, patriotic Sierra Leone, right? I want to make you tell me one of the good things what the government do, right? And then I will tell you one of the good things we honestly. You understand what you're saying?
All right, hold on.
Just tell me what
let me come in. All right, Williams, go ahead. He said later, I'm waiting at the
one of the good things we might don't do.
Yeah. You not tell me. You see?
What's that?
What's he?
No, I'm really thinking. I should have said the free education, but they get so many bundles of things that were wrong about her.
So, but you accept say at least that night a very good thing move, right? Even
No.
Uncle, I don't back him. Let him speak.
I don't buy into that. No. Make it independently. Because listen, Hello, a very small country.
Right, Williams.
You know, as a young man, you know,
education is a very good initiative.
Yeah.
That is if implemented fully. But when it's not implemented, then I wonder, because when you talk about the free education Mother Bill promised me, it promised me say they're going to feed picking in our school. It promised me free education. It promised me shoes. It promised me for pool the morning shift and afternoon shift. It promised me
He contesting himself. He raised the free education and he's explaining himself.
That will fee for the way the government adoption fee now you they pay. And all of that fees that the government they do, building funds now schools, then are you the parents they pay every other thing. So the parents are still spending. So what is there about the free education? What is free about the free education?
Can you ask him once more your question?
You don't get answer to my question. I don't think say
the free education was a good initiative.
No, he didn't say that.
He said that.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. They asked him to name one thing. Just name it. Don't explain.
Just one.
Just name it. Don't explain.
All right. Hold on. All right. Go back. Izagi. Now I hear you.
Yeah. I just asked William, right? Because I want make her know, you understand, whether he's doing this on political basis or he's doing it as patriotic or Australian.
Why you ask?
So now he make at the ask him, let it tell me one thing good. What did the government on do?
Why you ask me?
You are not the person to ask. You are not the guy that come. Now they ask.
All right, let me bring William. William, hold on. Let you say something. William, say the last one. Then I will let you go.
Not the answer.
What are the questions that you ask?
The same question. He say, not like say you don't answer in question. You just want if they come as a political person or they come as a patriot. So
no, but my brother, make a deal here with you. He asked for tell you 120 way good. Make a go to that 120 for don't tell you say good. The fight against rape, where Mother Bill come, that's very good initiative. But what about
the non-politicians?
What about the chief now born rape? You know, they picking not is not justice. What about central system when they come up from the opposition? They don't deserve justice. This is it. The policies, the ideas we might have been coming, it's very explicit, it's very good. I mean, you get there, exceptional. The ideas there, but the implementation are extremely poor. They're extremely biased and poor. So how see we were competing? That's what I say. I want to defense or two matter be good. Why would I say this is good? These are supportable, but I don't get.
Okay.
First enough. Sorry about that.
We see no get.
Anything we call, it gets new odds.
Totally fine.
I just want to thank you, Mr. Williams, for kind of the program. I appreciate very much your contribution towards this network. Thank you very much. Anytime when we need you, we can call you back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Bye. And that was Williams from Sierra Movement. Mr. Berete, now the audio is okay, but the video, you need for allow the video also. I don't know what they use, if na iPhone or computer or what them call it. So, but I will bring you down for make the audio. Can you say something?
Yes, thank you very much, man. What are you hearing me?
I hear you clearly. I know they see you no more.
Okay, let's see.
All right, now we go for a short break, and we can talk about the next segment. We can talk about the 60 years of independence. Is it a waste for we or what? I need fair play, Izagi, please, because we are not fair at all. Always, I think fair play.
You make you host. You release you host. You host top 10 points, and which I have been taking notes. I waste all my time because I'm ready for Oscar and I mean I'm ready for contest on that. But you never let you just talk of one thing anymore.
Nobody host, so don't be allowed for more questions. Question. Now make you let her go.
Okay. I'm glad that it's still the device know what them calling. So as we wait, and now we go for a short break. We can talk about the independence, the review. What thing we actually don't do when a good thing. What are the things that we will not we supposed to do as a country? It's supposed to be fair and balanced, right? All right, welcome back to the program. Waiting at the sea. Okay, Mr. Gabo. Yeah, Mr. Gabo, you look a little bit blurry and very, very funky. So make yourself first before I bring you come in. Let me bring in now. Is that getting yourself now audio? Let me bring in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the program. And Mr. Gabo, your video look very, very fuzzy, so you need to fix them before I bring you coming. So, the 7th of April, today is the 1st, about 3-4 days ago, Sierra Leone celebrates its 60th anniversary. And we get a look at the last 60 years. And before we do that, I want to make we go back to pre-independence. When we forefathers them, then come and tell we say, we don't mature enough for make we able get a self-rule. They go to the British colony for ask for independence on the 27th of April 1961. Then give away independence. I'm still waiting for Abla. I don't know what happened, but I'm still waiting for Abla. Okay, it is coming. All right. Well, if the video no they come on, that's fine. You can still do with the audio. That's fine. So
yeah, I don't try me. I don't go to my settings them.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be okay, but I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Maybe after this, I will be able to help you for the next time. But we can hear you clearly. That's fine. So before further tell we say we don't mature enough for make we able live by we able rule ourselves. And the British give we that opportunity. Waiting happened. 60 years later, there are so many problems. There are people where they tell me, in fact, say we should not have even asked for independence, because the independence where we ask for, number one, a partial independence. It's like saying, first of all, the British give we the rope, they hold the cow. And secondly, the rope we hold, we begin to fight with for that rope. Everybody they come take something. That is the reason why we're not able to do so many things. At the same time, in a positive, I just also want for give some people their encouragements for say yes, even though we get so many flaws, there are still other things that we don't do. We at least we get for identify them things and they. We know say one of the biggest problems we will get after the 1980, I think OAU, we get problem with finances. Now things begin collapse. Now we start forget a lot of problems them, and people like we guess when Mr. Abdullah Begetin, I don't need for introduce now this place, but for the sake of you don't say where it come. I want for introduce him for we all. Well, Mr. Begete now being one of the government officials during the Anes by Koroma regime. And at the same time, Mr. Begete also was a professor where he been teach na Furubi College. And after he left the government, he came back na Toronto, Canada, where he settled with Union family. Mr. Abdullah Begete now somebody where when it comes to Sierra Leone politics, you know a lot. Mr. Begete, it's been a pleasure again for coming to the program. Mr. Begete, do you hear me? Mr. Begete, we're not hear you. If you didn't talk, we're not hear you at all. I know say you audio okay, you not mute, but we're not hear you if you didn't talk. All right. It seems like Mr. Begete, they get some issues. Well, let me. I see they try for fix the issue. Oh, hold on. Sorry, Mr. Begete, sorry, Nami. I think say you been go off. You come in again. I not put you at the broadcast. Sorry. Thank you very much for coming back to the program. I know say it be not too small. So first of all, how did they do? Oh, you don't go off back. You don't come on again.
Very clearly.
Okay. So I say thank you very much for coming to the program. So first of all, now how did they do?
I'm doing fine, and thanks for the opportunity. And I also they see colleague panelists them. Una back at the tell una plenty at home.
Yeah, Mr. Abdullah, let's talk about this independence. When you get a mama when a 60-year-old, yes, in terms of when you talk about accounting, it's still young, but in terms of the human factor, I think Izagi, mute your phone. Yeah, I know say 60 years of independence, I think say as a country compared to other countries is still young, but in terms of the human factor, at least we supposed to come out and say this now we don't go, this now the progress we don't make. As a former government official, what do you look at these 60 years and one for tell we waiting at your reflection?
Thank you very much, Mankota and TPN for this opportunity. For me, I want to address the question whether 60 years were now wasted self-rule. I don't think say it wasted at all. The reason being, we get for pay tribute to we forefathers them we struggle for independence in sub-Saharan Africa. Not forget say in 1884, 1885, the colonial powers they meet na Berlin. Now in them go partition. Then just shape to themselves say France, you take Guinea, Senegal, Ivory Coast, then kind of thing, and the British then say, okay, we will take Nigeria, Ghana, Sierra Leone, then kind of country, and they're on the Gambia. Then you get other explorations that will happen. But the independence who they celebrate, we're not going to talk much about them if we not pay tribute to we forefathers then like them Baibure of Kase. Baibure of Kase in rebellion of 1898, April 27 to be specific. Now being not to people like in just read them in history saying a hot axe war. It go beyond a hot axe war. It was a strive for independence and what you call political sovereignty. Now that make them 10 and day. You find out say you get chiefs then waiting at the south and the east. Where them come like they allow me to look them, then Londo them, then send troops, then send personnel them, then send money for can support by Bure. Eventually, when we able to forget that Independence Day, I remember Milton Magai of blessed memory, in the made them get the independence December 7th when I been birthday. Now they say no. The fight for independence started in 1898, April 27, and therefore that day should be commemorated. I think say that is a starting point for me for sure. Say the fight for independence, just like other countries them, where then Kwame Nkrumah them, then Sekou Touré them, they all fight for their country them. I think say we in Sierra Leone, that self-rule they been very important. Don't forget say after the Second World War, where the soldier man them from West Africa regiment, then go see how then they kill that inferiority complex done. So where they can say, well, how come they can't fight the Whitman War where we still they under them? Now that make we back assert independence. And I think say that self-rule is very important. Whether we want to be dominated continually by the British, I will tell you say no. Whether we independence, self-rule, when we don't take over as people them, up to the time we get Republican status in 1971, whether we don't able to achieve what you want, as you say, I will tell you, say, we get a lot of challenges there. But at the end of the day, though, we able to get what you call political sovereignty in the state, where, of course, the colonial people them, they self-recognize, say, self-government now is the way to go because no country should be under the domination of another country.
All right, so now, okay, the intention is very, very great, and the British give we independence. Now, what are the mistakes that we don't do where you, as a professor and a former government official, what are the mistakes that we don't do as a country where we need for look into and try for rectify them?
Well, Mankota, before I go to the mistakes, if you don't mind, I want for revisit what we don't achieve as a nation. We nationalize yourself. It promotes a sense of nationalism. Proud Sierra Leone. If you see that day where we say we don't get independence, where they lower the Union Jack, we raise up the green, white, and blue flag. You go see the jubilation. And even the British, then before we do that, you find out, say, anybody will be, they challenge them for, say, we want independence now, then they hold you, they incarcerate you, then say you're not a rebel. But eventually, that sense of nationalism, don't forget, say, at independence, the Timni man, the Mende man, all the tribes in our country, they're all united in a common front. That sense of nationalism, it came to one. We only look at Sierra Leone. Now, when they introduced politics into the tribal configuration of the state, that was the false start. And the false start is not only limited to Sierra Leone. For some of you now, we don't read this book here, where Ayekwe Ama writes, one of the Ghanaian writers, them, where it titled The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. You go see, say, he used Ghana as a symbolism, but he really addressed the African states, them, we say, all this agitation where people then don't fight for get independence. Today, una don't get the independence. Una able all this baby, now the time you find out, say, people then begin go into the tribal thing, they go appeal to the tribesmen. And when you appeal to your tribesmen, you instill a sense of fear in them. At the end of the day, they bring divisiveness. If I tell you, say, that division, they're not still inherent to the country, I will tell you, say, a lie, a very conspicuous. So those are the false starts. And at the same time, when I remember, if I do a comparative analysis, in France, in Guinea, for instance, when Sekou Touré say in one independence in 1958, the French people have all to the telephone line and then cut all, they pull all. We in Sierra Leone, they left with some legacies there. We've been get the railway line. We've been get the SLPMB there. We've been getting things and the way people would be the export, even rice to the neighboring countries there. The question becomes, what happen with all the edifices then they? Is it poor governance, now poor leadership, now sectionalism, now the introduction of what you call the parochial state, and also not forget, say, even though we don't get independence, in political literature, I will tell you, say, we get flag independence, but we economies them now Africa, including Sierra Leone, they're still tied to what you call the metropolis, when are the developed nations, them, including with colonial masters them. Now that make us independence. I remember waiting Kwame Nkrumah on March 7, 1957, where did they get independence in Ghana? It said political independence in itself does not yet mean complete national liberation. That quotation, they not only fit for Ghana, it is also applicable in Sierra Leone, very conspicuously. So I will tell you, say, we don't make a lot of mistakes them along the line. And one of the epitomes of them mistake then they, now poor governance, we end up for even lead to the rebel war in Kawan on March 23rd, 1991, our country.
Yeah, definitely. This is not very educative, topic we talk on. Now, I don't say the dominant party then that country, because when they look at the independence and the development or the destruction, we don't go at that country, them you only get for limited to two parties where don't rule this country, the SLPP, the APC. Waiting I don't say we get political differences, but this is more than just political differences. Just like what you talk about sectionalism, maybe even tribalism introduced into politics. Waiting at the way forward where we as a nation supposed to look, or at least say, okay, we don't say we're too young. When you give $100 to Pekin, we don't know what's the value of money. In a church, but you get for tell and say, okay, this now for buy this, now for buy this. What do we get for do for try for show some of them, wholesale who don't bust into the fabric of society?
Thank you, Mankota. That's a very important question. The reason being, I remember they say, seek ye first that thy political kingdom, and all other things shall be added unto you. When you get the politics correct, I remember SLPP, APC, even prior to the independence, you see, say the fight between Milton Magai and Sheikh Stevens and Tekarifa Smart. I remember 1964, where Sir Milton Magai died. Everything they point say, we forget John Karifa Smart, we hail from the Rotifum, when at the northeastern part of the country, north-south. At the end of the day, then torpedo am politically. When then torpedo am, then go bring the half brother of Milton Magai, when Albert. Albert introduced a policy where anybody where then call them in political terms the Mendenization of the civil service. Where then anybody will not belong to that tribe there, then they end up for elbow you. At the end of the day, it sowed the seeds of discord. What will happen now? During the struggle for political hegemony, APC back when they come into governance, then back say, okay, you know what's in? Now we have the majority. Now introduce a one-party state. Let it be our job. The advantage with them they do was that I remember when Momo, late President Momo, when they want to introduce the multi-party democracy, where if they try for resist, it say a country with many tribal cleavages cannot overnight become a multi-party state. By the end of the day, the wind of change, after the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989, we find out, say, the democratization wind don't come so that people then go get a voice. So they open up. Thus, we end up will get the 1991 multi-party constitution in Sierra Leone. But during the one-party state in 1978, where the APC introduced, we all see whereby voices of opposition were silenced, whereby we see, say, nobody know they get option, you only belong to that party there. And also, we also see the emergence of tribal organizations, them telling they, where we say if you not belong, you cannot get what you need. So all that one they not been good into a country at all. For identify yourself with your tribe is not bad. That it is part of socialization. But it is only when you use that tribe for edge other tribes them, forget the political power, at the same time, you begin say, he who gets all wins all. At the end of the day, they marginalize other people. Them. I want in this conversation where we discuss about the independence of a country. If I let people and go read the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report, we come after the war end in 2002, we go able to see the reality what happened during the hegemony of the one-party state when Sir Albert Magai been kind to governance, up to the NPRC them, and to today. We don't see issues of human rights violations, even though if you go to section 25 of our constitution, it very clear say the rights to association, the right to freedom of speech are entrenched clauses, which means nobody with democratically elected, no go just come and abrogate their rights then they without parliamentary and political consensus. So these are the challenges that we'll get. I will tell you, say, the neo-colonial states in Sierra Leone right now, we have a responsibility as Sierra Leoneans them to get it right. Even though within the diaspora, we they become tired. Now, part of the reason we make some of we been left, where we go back home for go serve the country. At the end of the day, though, if we're not able for pamper this country, for let we demonstrate, say, the motto of our country, when unity, freedom, and justice, until we translate them into reality with political finesse and fairness, and not so marginalize other groups that will not belong to the political class. Trust me, we independence will continue for be flag independence to the marginalization of the majority of people there. We know they all go well for the states.
Now we go to we panel now. Now we start with Mr. Kabo. Mr. Kabo, listening to Professor Abladerete, and looking at the state of affairs today since 1960, which now you take?
Well, it's good to talk about it because that is our history, and even though we may not dwell into history, but we use it as a reference for the mistakes we make now, and if there are any, and we correct that, and we weigh the advantages and disadvantages of 1960 to some other part of the years, and then we take it from there. I think we've made a very important and a very serious development in terms of human development, in terms of education, in terms of the growth of human in general. We've made a tremendous achievements. What I think we should do now is that we have to work hand in hand, because we've seen what the past has brought to us. There's not much, but it contributes, and it does foster our minds to do more. So because of that, I think I will ask every individual, BU, APC, SLPP, for the betterment of our country, to work together and we unite and create possibilities for our children yet unborn. It is very important. That's why the white men, they grow fast. Well, not necessarily fast, but our parents actually, based on probably the illiteracy, they are not educated, and the lack of resources and raw materials, probably, or the inability to refine them to the state in which we want them to use, and maybe some other means. I don't want to say selfish ends. They don't. We find out that we grow very slowly, because they don't make provisions for the future. But again, that was the system at the time. We could look at it and say it's bad now, but in those days it's not bad, because that's what was going on. And so they did what they did, and we take from generation to generation. So I mean, I'm appealing to every one of us, this present generation, to look back to the mistakes our parents have made, be it political parties or whatever it is, and see how best we can enhance or develop or maybe contribute better to that development. You know, growth doesn't take one day. It takes years.
Mr. Thank you very much. Because we are almost going out of time. So let me come to Bashiru. Bashiru, I know you look a little bit restless. What's in the go on? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm in a hotel in California. I was just next door.
Oh, okay.
So this is for Mr. Berete. Mr. Berete, this is a question for you, because I have always thought the way we conceived independence was actually it was flawed from the beginning. I think, especially when it comes to tribal part, it was flawed. Maybe not the intention, but the architect of it was flawed. That it was easy for somebody to manipulate it to a tribal end. When we got independence, if we go back to the coalition that got independence with Samuel Timagai and stuff, it was built on the basis of paramount chiefs. The base of that coalition was built on paramount chiefs from different areas of the country, right? So when Samilton died and the whole Kukujumuku stuff to get Albert in there instead of Karifa Smart, that was because that was done, and Karifa Smart was from the north. It allows somebody like Sheikh Stephen, who was maybe more political savvy than we give credit to him, saw that future, that this is something we can actually use as the APC to split between the north and the southeast, because people in the north had felt aggrieved, or maybe even not aggrieved, felt like, oh, so this coalition was equal, but now you're forcing somebody else on us from the south that we did not necessarily agree to, and then that person come into power. This, I'm talking about Sir Albert, came into power and was pushing tribal policies that, because of the way the architectural of our independence was already set, it made it easy for wherever a chief moves. If the chief of certain, say you take Yoni Bana, if the chief moves, the whole vote moves with that chief. So do you think maybe the way it was founded, the country was founded, independence that allows it to be much more easy to be manipulated for tribal different or be separated in the tribal line. I just want to hear your view on that.
Thank you very much. I didn't get the name earlier.
Bashiru.
Bashiru, thank you very much. I think you made very, very, very good points. And if you go again to the political configuration of the state, even prior to independence, just like you mentioned, prior to even 1964, when Sir Milton Magai passed on, the state in itself, there were political wranglings to the point that the two dominant parties prior to that had wanted to covet for themselves the honor to say they brought in, or rather presided over, the independence of the state. Thus, what Milton Magai did was to arrest the main opposition people, and they went for the London talks in the UK, which heralded the independence we are talking about. But again, there was a turning point after 1964, when Sir Milton passed away. As you rightly mentioned, everything was pointing towards John Carifa Smart to have succeeded him. But there was some political manipulation whereby the half-brother Albert Magai ended up becoming a prime minister, even on a short basis. And the policies he introduced in terms of, even in the civil service, given advantage over some other tribes, those sowed the seeds for this tribal discord. But I can tell you, if you ask me though, is tribalism a big problem in our country? Or are us as human beings, or sometimes even politicians, are we the problems? If you go to a place like Bo, you can see the way people from the north, especially the Timnis, have intermarried with the Mendes with no issues whatsoever. And for them to be there, it is because of the accommodation given them by the Mendes. They were able to coexist peacefully. Equally so, if you come to the north, you can see Mendes who settled there. And that was a historical fact, because there is a place in Potloko district following the Baibure War that is called Romani, because, as I mentioned in my introductory remarks, chiefs like Almami Soloku from the south, as well as Kailondo, they sent in material support as well as financial support and personnel to support Baibure in the fight against the British. So that tells you there was cohesion at the time. The only time tribalism becomes very prominent in our country is when you have some political bigots at the helm of the power. That is when they will stoke the tribal flames to instill fear in the people, to say, you Sidom, if Timni man hold power, you don't wear it. You Sidom, if Mende man hold power, you don't wear it. But at the same time, though, no individual tribe can rule that country without a national cohesion. And this is where we need to put all our parochial tribal leanings and put Sierra Leone first. That way, we should judge people not by their last names and associate them into whether a south or east or north or west, but define them as Sierra Leoneans first. Recognize their talents and what they can contribute to the state. Unless and until we do that, if not, whatever political party, as long as we go into the politics of revenge, the politics of tribal bigotry, then the state is going to suffer. And this is why, if you go to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report that was published following the cessation of the war in 2002, all these issues I am talking about are conspicuously written there. So this is where your contribution to me is very valid in terms of putting into context how the seeds of tribalisms were sowed. But again, we have an opportunity whereby we should be able to transform our country. In Rwanda, for instance, we have many tribes, but today, even just if you single out IT in Rwanda, it is the doyen, the proud of Africa. So why can't us emulate that in spite of our tribal leanings? So to me, this is the way I will position it in context moving forward with this conversation.
Yeah. Now, okay. Bashir, before you, Bashir, you mute. Bashir, you mute.
Sorry, I want to make a comment about independence. Just 30 seconds. What I feel about independence.
Go ahead.
Celebration.
We'll go to Izagi.
Quick. I promise you 30 seconds. I believe, this conversation about people like we celebrate independence, independence to me has nothing to do with development. Has nothing to do with it. Celebrating independence has nothing to do with it. For you to have a self-governing, for you to have the power to make decisions for yourself, it's like telling somebody, it's better for you to be slave in America because it's developed than to be free in Africa. Like, that's the dumbest thing you can compare. The freedom to make our decisions is so much bigger than certain developments. At least we developing or not, we are making that decision for ourselves. It's not somebody else that dictates to you when you can and cannot do things, because somebody in Britain makes that demand for you. So it's way bigger. So I don't compare. I don't take independence or celebration of independence and attach it to development. I don't. The fact that we can have these conversations because we have the power to actually change our own destiny. If somebody make that decision for you, you have no power to make that difference. That's all I gotta say about the independence thing.
Exactly, you mute.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Mr. Abu. Yeah, I think all the commentators have said some stuff very, very salient, towards one. I think towards independence as a whole. As a nation, we've come so far. Overall, I think we've strive. And just like Mr. Berry said, just because of bad governance that we find ourselves in the position that we are right now. But I think other than that, and with tribal lines and all this stuff going on in the country, I think we're okay. But I also think, again, the most important thing that I think we as Sierra Leone have to be talking about, because the more you talk about things, the more the next person ideology, ideas about all the stuff. It's the tribal stuff that is eating up that country, right? I mean, it is obvious that it exists, right? Most people will not want to talk about it, but I mean, it's obvious that it exists. But until we start talking about it and find a way to mitigate those issues, then we as a nation can move forward. That is just my take on it.
All right, Mr. Berit, I know say you get for left very soon. But here is a question from Peter Dauda. Peter Dauda said, can proportional representation be useful in addressing political harmony in Sierra Leone?
If what?
Can proportional representation be useful in addressing political harmony?
Proportional representation, or what we call first past the post, all these are just types of voting systems. I remembered in 1996, because we been still get some aspects of the war in some parts of the country. Now that make them count with what they call the proportional representation, where Dr. Jonah been preside over. But at the same time, the proportional representation, now an issue where they just count with what you call the blockchain votes. You put people in from your political parties in terms of priority number 1, number 2, and based on the number of votes and where you get, now so people and they go either into parliament or whatever. But not forget, say for now in Sierra Leone, we are practicing what they call a non-parliamentary system of governance. And that non-parliamentary system there, how do you account for people them where then forget in touch with the constituents and not the constituency them? So the first past the post, at the end of the day, when people then come, they're able to see their candidates, they're connected to them. That 10 day, if they want pass policies in a parliament, the people then go, the parliamentarians they're supposed to go now and be in touch with them people them for go seek their opinion. That way, whatever policy will be representative enough of the voices of the people, which we now will call in political terms the political sovereignty of the state. We're very important, the voices of the people. So every system may get advantage. But I will tell you, say, all the type of votes they get, it also depends if the politicians they're ready for change. The type of votes they vote, not they address corruption. The type of vote they vote, not they address tribalism. The type of vote they vote, not they address the bread and butter issues them. You can come with the most sophisticated type of voting like we practice in America through the Electoral College. But trust me, if we're not ready as a people for say, let us celebrate to independence for say, now baby we don't 60 years. We're supposed to be independent now on the own. It will just be at the margins them, then poverty will still be the issue of the day. So to me, the type of voting system, it not really matter. The most important thing, though, whatever system we come, we make elect the first past the post. Now because the people them they know them MP, then they connect to them, then also a get what you don't call representative democracy. Don't forget, say the whole thing about democracy is the people. The government and the states are the legal parts, but the people them are the sovereigns of the states, are the master them. So now I believe, say, when we talk about civil society, we talk about political systems, the type of political system, not they address the challenges the way a country gets until the people are ready to change.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Mr. Cabo, you got anything for Mr. Abladereti before I let him go?
Oh, no, not for now.
All right. So, Mr. Abladereti, we know say the next time we celebrate independence is going to be next year, 61 year old. What are the things that we they look up to as a country?
I look forward to the day whereby as Sierra Leoneans they're not for judge you by your last name and associate you whether you come on at the south or east or the north. You have Koromas in Mende line, you get Koromas them in Timni line. We for able make sure say that what you then call the patronage of the state. We be say as soon as you can have power, now only your own tribesmen them that way. The moment you do that, somebody
yeah, Nabashiru. Hold on, let me just mute them. Okay, go ahead.
So at the end of the day, until we able get, be it APC, be it SLPP, any party we can have power for able to recognize that, you know what, Sierra Leone is one country for we all, and that it not really matter whether you come on at the southeast, as long as you have the talent to contribute to the development of the state, why not? To me, that is my own humble disposition.
Yeah, but before I let you go now, I don't go on for make you go without asking you this question, because we know say now that we have what we call the introduction of the cybercrime bill. What are you don't take on this? I don't know if you don't read that or not, or if you want to say something, or maybe you want to say something about the census. Then I will let you go.
I read the cybercrime bill. It is unfortunate that we as a government, will be in governance as APC, we try for let we annul the Part 5 of the Public Order Act of 1965, where the SLPP introduced. Then come the able for nullify which was good. I gave them kudos for that. But you cannot nullify the 1965 Public Order Act, particularly Part 5, where criminalized libel, when through some of we, their mother PO and the police them be arrested with them in a jail in 1993. Then you go come with a cyber law, way very obnoxious. So at the end of the day, you cannot. That in itself they challenge Section 25 of the 1991 Constitution, where give us the freedom of speech and all the freedom of association. So these are the challenges there. I only hope they will go. I hope they will go rethink it. Therefore, go able to rethink them and change them.
What about the census?
The census, trust me, you get what you call legislative procedures. Legislative procedures, you're supposed to go to parliament, you go lay arm before the members of both houses. Until then debate them, then come into an agreement for say, yes, we need this census here. Because the purpose of the census, you ask yourself the question, to what end? What do you want to achieve? So these are some of the mistakes them where the current governments they make, where until we address them don't use if they use that thing way for say, okay, you know what, that they get the speaker in a parliament, that they get the majority leader in parliament, then kind of thing a day. They know they work in a democracy like ours. So we need for able for work together as a nation, put all political party leanings them aside and focus on the state so that it not become dysfunctional. Because the moment it becomes dysfunctional, now the time you see the political tension and it rise because it is a question of he who controls power controls the wealth of the state, and it shouldn't be like
that. It's always thank you very much for thank you very much for kind of the program. I know say you're busy right now, you get all the things and for do, but anytime we will call you and can explain to we certain things that we will not get understanding. We actually learned a lot from you today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity.
Michael, can I ask Professor before you go real quick?
All right, Professor, you get what?
No, I still young.
Okay,
right.
Go ahead.
All right, Unkoro, sorry, but make I hold you just for a second. There are a couple of things you've been to say this whole time, and I totally agree with you. But I just want to go back to the problem. Why you talk about representational democracy, why it's not working for us, right? I think the reason it's not working for us has to do with specifically the political parties. The political parties, they gave us what we call representational democracy, and then they took it away from us. The way they took it away from the people, this is why, regardless of what the people, even if the people try to change, it will not matter. It's this symbol issue. This issue with symbol. No parliamentarian in Salon is well, now we have some few independent people, right? But in Sierra Leone, for you to even contest, you have to toe the party line for them to give you symbol. So if you Professor Berete, one go, you not totally agree with APC, right? You are going to be independent and one just do what you right. They likely will not give you a symbol, which automatically sideline you. So we all know say certain places, and if you get the APC symbol, they get SFP symbol now, almost guarantee win for you. So this symbol issue, I think for me, is where it's almost impossible to really having it continue. It's impossible to make you really transform the political landscape as alone with this symbol thing, because if you don't follow the symbol, we saw that even in APC, in SLPP, some of the members then way not being there totally with Marabio, supposed to be power per members there, right? Also to be power per members there. Inside, even though they were parliamentarians, they did not give them symbol. They lost their parliamentarian position. Even though if they had contested in that district, I don't know, SLPP, they would have won. What do you think about that, though?
Unfortunately, okay, hold on. You just come. Hold on. Let me bring you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's what you think about these symbols where they give a small group of people that then get the power for distribute the symbols them.
I will speak to the 1995 constitution of the APC. The reason why I speak to that is people can come for democratize the party. We for able go into elections, so all the positions. But I just want to make a quick observation, say people can get the right for being independent. And the current parliament right now, where people and they way they may feel say them party, they forgive them symbol, where they not give them, then contest as independent. The constitution make provision for that. And we have independent members of parliament right now. So people should, because your popularity in the constituency, where you don't work for the people, if you feel, say, if you not join the political party, you will still get the votes of the people. I know, like Wami Padiso from Kenema District, Salia Kone, na member of parliament, it be one symbol for if SLPP, where they no game, now he go as independent, he win. He is in parliament right now.
Right. Well,
Salakon is from Kailan district, but he was my prefect at both schools, so I know about that story.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. Yes, you get half candidates like that, but the majority where the power lies, they're not independent. They're not. They're controlled by the party.
Well, not only that, my brother, the other challenge you'll get when people then go to parliament under them party, even if they see things that we not right for the country, if them party say na so you for vote, they know they put the country first. They go by the party dictates. That in itself, it become dysfunctional for we as a country. Look at the democracy in the Western world. Even though people then belong to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, they still come out and challenge the status quo. Yeah. That is mature democracy. But for us, I can always say our democracy is still fledgling. Fledgling in the sense we have all the semblance of what you call a democratic state. For those democratic state institutions, they're not mature enough. Now that make I remember when Barack Obama visits Ghana, when he go make that landmark speech where he say, all waiting Africa need are strong institutions and not the people. But again, when you look at it, the two are very symbiotic. You know, will go with one, you left the other one. You can get the institutions there. But if the people and when they man the institutions, they're not savvy enough, then the institutions, they become useless.
Well, this is now a very fruitful conversation. I just want to take this opportunity for thank Mr. Ablai Berete for a wonderful about the independence. I think he's been able to give a lot of people them Sierra Leoneans them for make them say yes. We get difficulties, but there is hope that the fact that we able to make decision on our own, even though decision, but it's more than that. So thank you very much, Ablai Berete.
Thank you very much for anchoring me, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
That was Mr. Ablai Berete. If talk to me from Toronto in Canada. Gentlemen, let's round up because we are way off target. So I just want you now 1 minute for let we round up. So let's start with it. Exactly. Come on, put the video. No, not begin making like SLPP business now. I start with you. You mute up. Bashir, you just go. Bashir, in independence. I know the target.
But don't vex. You know, so in power at least now for the country.
I know say now I'm supposed to control right now, but hold on first. Let me control quick. Give me just a few minutes so I able control. I will give you back your power. So what's that you way forward in terms of this independence? What would you celebrate, and what you supposed to do as a country way forward?
I think the way forward right now for Mexico unite as one irrespective of the differences which they get for exist. You know, as long as we didn't as we get for exist. But I think for say when it comes to independence, of need let go everything put hand together with that one really, because that day just come. So I think for say that's I think for say is okay all.
Mr. Kagbo?
Yeah, it's very important and very salient points being raised by the previous speakers. But one thing I want to say in my minute goodbye is that I'm sure and I believe that if we eradicate the candidates sponsored political parties for any elections, more so as mentioned by the SLPP for the councillors, I think that is a step to our development, because when we have these people, as the professor mentioned earlier on, if a political party sponsors a candidate, that candidate becomes responsible to the political party, even when the political party is wrong, on the wrong side. So in other words, the individual who is the councillor sponsored by a political party is not working for the people, rather working for the political party. And more so, there are times when other people want to aspire as candidates whom they believe is the person of their constituency, or the person they want to be the candidate. But because they don't have the power to select the person, the political party has the power to select, and they will bring in somebody who is not even fit to be a councillor, who cannot even advocate or bring anything tangible to the people, and he's not even people's person. So all these are disadvantages. So as we grow up to the 60th anniversary, I do ask that we think about these things and reflect on them. And as recently as it was, you had a mayor, Yvonne Sawyer, because he's attached to his political party, and she's only and solely working for her political party instead of working for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he used those rhetoric statements or words by the Bua Bise issue, because she's tied to her political party.
Now, tease don't begin for tease me back so.
Now I make the president greater.
You're dealing with politics, so now we focus, okay? Not tease me, please.
Mr. Abu, you need to invite her on the program. Let her come and explain herself.
They will never come here because we will. That's how they pick the people that they bring now. Because I don't say Kabo do now.
Yeah, Kabo na a turn now with truths. I know. So thank you very much, gentlemen, and I just want to thank Mr. Abdullahi Bereti for kind of the program. It can give you a lot of good things that we need for reflect on. When I listen to all of we would talk about this 60th year independence, I realized that just like Putin Peter Dauda talk now, you see, I believe that it is the people who create strong institutions. It is not the strong institution that creates strong people. So I totally agree with Dauda. Nadamik always, whether on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, and other places, when they come out and they talk, I always emphasize how we as a nation, how we as a people are the foundation of everything we get to do with development of that country. If we're not able to stand up for what is right for the sake of Sierra Leone, then it's easy for make we fall for everything. And that is very important. This, let me reflect. 60 years, yes, in terms of the country, you could say we're still young compared to other countries like the United States and other countries. But we are no longer young. At least we're supposed to don't develop us the way we're supposed to do so. And we still get a long way from going. And we get what we call an opportunity of circumstances. An opportunity of circumstances. Now, the world is very, very diverse. The world is very, very technological. We can come, like what we then call, so they talk, everybody, they listen to him. So we are now interconnected. That is called opportunity of circumstances. Why we not be able to use them in a more positive way for make we able to reflect the intention where we forefathers being start for say, okay, we can take care of ourselves. Until we do them, we always do ponder on this politics every single time you go on social media. Some people then they are not even able to function on social media without politics, without bashing whether Mada Bio is this or Aneskoma is this or Dr. Mankota is this or Izagi is that. This is always what other people are always obsessed with on social media, and it's very, very heartrending. You know, people who don't do now and the advanced world like the United States, we see how this country they work together. Irrespective of the differences, but at least when it comes to national interest, then they work together for make that the country go before. we always focus on this small, petty stuff. I think it is time for me to reflect. So I thank you very much again. We'll go see you back next week, the same time, the same place. Night.